All right. Thanks everybody for coming out tonight for our 14th session of the academic year. Today we're going to be having a similar session to our past sessions, where we're going to be having some cool new stories presented by the content team. And thank you, Joe. And then we're going to take a little break, and Jamal's going to give us a presentation about the new roles for ISSessions after we finish the academic year. So I think those will be starting at the end of the summer. And okay, awesome. Yeah, so they start sooner than that. There's 5 more positions. And yeah, so we're going to kick it off with the news.
Good evening to all those in attendance, those tuning in online. My name is Abdi, and today I'll be briefly going through the recent massive cyber attack that took place on X, formerly known as Twitter. So basically, on March 10th, X was allegedly the victim of a large-scale distributed denial of service attack, also known as DDoS for short. Users reported slow load times, failed posts, and complete outages for hours. Elon Musk himself classified it as a massive cyber attack. And he also claimed that it was originating from Ukrainian IP addresses, suggesting that it was a nation-led coordinated attack, which sparked some debate within the cyber realm, because attackers are not that dumb enough to put where they're really coming from on IP addresses. So blaming IP address location at face value is a little bit tricky to do, especially in today's day. Moving on to the attack. For those who don't know, a DDoS attack is when attackers flood a website with so much artificial traffic that it causes it to crash. To pull it off, they use botnet, which is basically an army of compromised computers that threat actors can control remotely. In this case, they targeted X's critical infrastructure. This is because some of X's servers were not properly protected on Cloudflare's DDoS defenses, which allowed for a direct hit on their servers. The result of this attack was that millions of users were locked out of their accounts, which caused obviously general frustration amongst users, and advertising businesses were unable to reach their target audiences, generating a huge loss in ad revenue. Shortly after the attack, a hacktivist group by the name Darkstorm Team took credit for the attack. However, it's not 100% sure they were truly behind the attack. This is because any hacker group wants to take credit for obviously taking down a major platform like X. Boost your reputation. To remedy the attack, obviously, X's security team worked closely with Cloudflare to block malicious traffic, patch their vulnerable systems, and begin to investigate where the attack actually originated from. The problem with DDoS attacks is they're very cheap and easy to pull off, while on the other hand, defending against them takes a lot of time, money, and strong security measures. At the end of the day, I personally believe that this is not only a wake-up call for X, but for the entire tech industry, as they need to begin thinking whether they're truly ready for an attack like this. Because if a major platform like X can be taken down, it raises the question, are other major platforms truly ready for an attack like this? That's all I have for you all today. Thank you all for listening.
Okay, so I'm Ali. So I'll be discussing a pretty recent cybersecurity breach that happened to a company called Juniper. So essentially, they're a pretty big US company that provides network hardware. So this makes them a pretty high-value target. And so recently, the incident was linked to a Chinese state-sponsored hacking group labeled UNC3886. And what makes this incident slightly different is instead of attacking usual endpoints like computers or servers, they went for their routers. So these were Juniper's MX series routers that were used a lot by ISPs and large organizations. And they chose this because these routers were running outdated software since they were end of life. So they were no longer receiving security patches, yet organizations were still using them. And so they were running on an outdated version of Juno operating system. So initially they got access by a compromised terminal servers that were used by administrators to manage network devices, which then allowed them to interact with the outdated routers. They did this by using stolen credentials and exploiting flaws to gain entry. And so once inside, the attackers injected malicious code into legitimate processes, which not only hid it, but allowed it to bypass their security system called verified exec, which essentially ensures only trusted code runs. Yeah, and then now to maintain access, they deployed customized version of TinyShell, which if you don't know is a lightweight backdoor that provides remote shell access, file upload and download, and SOC proxy, which allows them to reroute traffic for more convert communication. And then they even use scripts that disabled logging, making it pretty difficult to trace. And it's not known for how long they had access for, but it's assumed to be a few months, if not longer. And so it was actually found by some security researchers at Cloudflare and Mandiant who identified suspicious network behavior like suspicious traffic from unidentified SSH connections and abnormal data transfers and access attempts from unfamiliar IP addresses. And upon investigation, they of course found the TinyShell backdoors active on multiple Juniper routers, which then led to an investigation that exposed the entire attack campaign. And so once found, they of course released the security patches that addressed the exploit vulnerability labeled CVE 2025-21590, which had a CVSS score of 9. And of course, they encourage all businesses to change the routers. But it's pretty crazy how long it takes for these big companies to, see that a router, I guess, is end of life, and they still don't go ahead and change it. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hello, how are you guys doing? Good. Bit tired. Every Wednesday is my longest time. A little bit dead today, but we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic that happened recently. Just get my words together. Right, so we have a vulnerability that was found from Trend Micro. They found this vulnerability that has been active apparently for over 6 years, and I found evidence of it being active for over 14 years. And Microsoft has denied wanting to patch this because they said that it's not a security issue, that it's a UI issue. So they're not really going to touch it. It's like bottom of the barrel for them. They're not going to deal with it as of now. So this just came out recently, so this is another push, so maybe Microsoft will finally touch it. But basically what happened is that they were using some threat actors that were using link files in Windows. And if you know what a link file is, it's basically a shortcut file on Windows that you can put legitimate things in, like keyboard shortcuts, open Google Chrome, open LinkedIn, open an email app, open a certain folder, file, whatever you want. It can be used for actual legitimate reasons. So state actors, actually 11 state-sponsored actors from North Korea. This was the big one. A lot of attacks from North Korea, but also Iran, Russia, and China. Actively been using it for over a decade, and Microsoft has not touched it. So they have found right now, this specific CV has found over 1,000 malicious link files just have been identified sitting in multiple exploit campaigns. And the issue is here when normal users would view those files, they don't see anything. They just see a bunch of white space, and then they hide the code at the bottom, deobfuscated, whatever, to run general malicious code. And like I said before, Microsoft has declined to patch this, and it's a little bit unfortunate because we have a lot of users that will just be opening up link files because they're legitimate files on your computer. Why wouldn't they point to something normal? You open it up, you read it in a notepad file, and you see a bunch of white space. Most people are just going to click it. Most people won't even open it up. Just click it, run it, right? So that's definitely a huge issue. I want to talk about a few things about why it was called CVI CAN and not CVE X whatever number. So because Microsoft hasn't officially declared this an issue, hasn't been noticed by the CV company. But ZDI, which is Zero Day Initiative from Trend Micro. These guys are authorized to put out new CVEs, even though they're not official CVEs. They can still document them until the agency like deems them legitimate and put them up in a real code. But this still is an active valid CVE, just not under the CVE like umbrella. So you can look this up and you can find more information on it for sure, but this was mostly used for a lot of spying, like I said, espionage and financial theft, all from state actors over a course of a decade, which is insane to me. And I think I had a few more things to talk about, but honestly, that was pretty much it. You just gotta watch out. I did a couple presentations. I don't know if you guys remember, I did the PDF one with the Braille, where that one had white space and people just clicked it, and this is another version of that, where people are just not looking, they're clicking open files, they get a link file emailed to them or sent to them somehow, and malicious code starts going on your computer. So definitely just watch out what you're downloading and clicking and viewing. Maybe view the file, edit it, see what's in the PDF, see what's in the note before you open it if you're not trusting the source. Yeah, and this is pretty much just it. It's just make sure you're aware of file attachments, looking through them, and hopefully Microsoft deems this legitimate, because I cannot believe that they said, yeah, this is a UI issue, not a security issue. Okay, sure. I mean, it's malicious in nature. I don't understand why it wouldn't be counted, but hopefully they actually start the official thing. But that's everything for me. I don't know if you guys have any questions. I was all over the place, but hopefully you guys understood that. It was great. Cool. I think that was it for me. So, I don't know. So I guess we have a break. I guess we'll just do like a 10-minute break, and yeah, we'll be back in 10 minutes. Sounds good. CCR code will be posted in the stream questions chat.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Sorry. Thank you, guys. Well, thank you guys for coming out. It's always nice to see a big crowd. I really appreciate you guys' attendance and showing up and being part of the team. It's so awesome. And I don't know if you saw the title slide or any of the announcements on Discord, but it is that time of the year where. Let's see if I can actually get this. Oh, of course not. Well, it is that time of the year where we are actually going to be opening up the applications for the ISSessions team. So this presentation that I'm going to do is kind of a two-part presentation. One is to introduce you guys to the roles that you can apply for on the ISSessions team, and I strongly encourage you to be a part of the team. But the second part of this, is it not picking up good?
Wandering.
Oh, good. Thank you. The second part of the presentation, or basically throughout this whole thing, is I want you guys to ask questions about ISSessions that, even if you think it is a ridiculous question or you have something at the top of your mind, to just ask. Because one of the reasons that I almost didn't join ISSessions is because I wasn't 100% sure what it was, what I was supposed to be doing, what my roles were, what roles looked like. What do we actually do on a day-to-day basis? What is the time commitment to be in ISSessions? These are all things that I was thinking about, but like being in first year, I was like, I don't want to ask anybody. This is like, weird to me, whatever. But just ask the question, right? If you're at all interested in joining ISSessions, hopefully this presentation will help. I'll talk about some of the benefits that come along with being on the team, things that have benefited me personally, things that have benefited us as a club, in terms of our outreach and our connections across the entire team, and kind of the prestige that comes along with being part of this team that has been around for 10 years now, going on its 11th year. So you guys, if you do join the team, you'll be the 11th year of ISSessions, which is crazy. We are I think the oldest club at Sheridan. So I'd love to continue the tradition, and I'd love for new people to be part of the team. I will mention it more later in the presentation, but on top of all of the roles that are currently available at ISSessions, we're opening up 5 new roles for 2025 and 2026. And the goal of this is to just smooth out some of the pain points that I noticed in the vice president position that could be aided by having more people on the team to assist with some of the more nuanced but very, very important functions within ISSessions. So anyway, without further ado, let's actually get into some of the roles. And I will also, if you see your current role on here and you have an intention of staying in the role, sorry, it's not that your role is up for grabs. If you would like to apply again, if you're already in the position, please do so. Obviously, that would hold a lot of weight for the decisions that we make going forward, but I just want everybody to know about the roles so that if you're interested in a position, feel free to apply. So we'll start off with the producer, which is my favorite thing, actually, because this is, kind of the lifeblood of everything that we do. If we're not able to do these presentations without John and Joel, we're not able to broadcast this onto YouTube and the stream and make sure that the audio is working, the presentation is set up properly, and then when we actually get to the CTF in January or February every year, that we can broadcast it to everybody to be part of the team. The producer role, yes, you are broadcasting meetings every single week, but this role is one of the most important roles in ISSessions. It does carry a lot of weight with it because this is something that we kind of do on the fly. You can see Joel's setup is crazy, and John's setup here, the way that we got it coordinating, it is wonderful to see that we're able to, make it work so smoothly considering, and it always works out great. So the producer role is fantastic. Again, all the roles are going to be technically open. Anybody can apply for them. And if you have any questions about any of the roles that I'm going to be talking about, raise your hand, ask me a question, whatever you can think of. There are no stupid questions today. So whatever comes to the top of your mind, please feel free to ask. Anybody have any questions about the producer role? Yeah, and if you have any questions for people online, you can ask in-stream questions as well. So next role is the community manager. So community manager is a very fun position. This is the role that Lily currently occupies. So essentially what you're going to be doing as the community manager is you are our person in charge of reaching out to our community, making announcements, and for the most part, managing our social media and website management. This is a very important role as well because you are essentially the person that's in charge for making sure that everybody knows what's going on. So you'll notice that all of the announcements about the weekly meetings, important announcements regarding the club, these are all done by Lily. And the community manager role is fundamental to making sure that you guys know what's going on and that we are communicating to you what is happening week to week. And for the community manager, you have the ability to do things extracurricularly if you want, outside of just like the basics. You can, make more posts on social media, redesign the social media accounts, spice it up however you like. We give you access to all of the things that are related to our social media, so LinkedIn, Discord, Instagram, and our website as well. And that is yours. It is for you to use as a way to communicate to everybody, hey, this is ISSessions, this is what we do, this is what we have coming up. It is an awesome role, and if you're like looking for something to get into ISSessions with, and you're good at social media, I guess we all are. But this is definitely an awesome position to consider if you're looking to join the team. Any questions about community management? No, I'll get it. Yes, Lily.
Yes.
Club what? Club fair. Yes, you do. Oh, yes. So there are a couple of positions. I believe president and community manager, they have to be at every single club fair, I'm pretty sure. So if you are applying for the president role or if you're applying for the community manager role, you are required to be at all of the club fairs. There's not too many. I think we did like what, three this year, so 3 or 4. But it's fun. It's really nice to do the actual club fairs, and I met a bunch of you actually at the club fair, and now you're part of coming to the club. So it is a really cool way to meet people and to introduce yourself and to make people feel comfortable to come to this. I think we've been doing a really great job as a club. The turnout for this entire year, plus the CTF and everything, has been amazing. So obviously what we're doing is good, and I'd like to find good people that would be able to continue to develop on this. So that's what we're going to be looking for in a community manager, is somebody that can continue to make our outreach known so that more and more people feel comfortable joining the club. Okay? Okay, so content developer. So content developers are the people that are responsible for creating the news every single week. So every 2 weeks. So what you do in your spare time or whenever you have a chance, like after class or something like that, what the people on the content developer team do is they'll read about cybersecurity news, articles, things that are happening. It doesn't have to be like all about breaches or hacks and stuff like that. It can be things that you just found interesting related to the field of cybersecurity. But your job is essentially to create content for the weekly sessions in the form of either news or middle segments, which Adam has so graciously done many times and is knocked out of the park. So this is your role as a content developer. Your primary focus every single 2 weeks is just to research something interesting in the realm of cybersecurity, bring it to the event manager, and the event manager will then put the content together into the presentation, and then your responsibility is to come in to present it. If you really, really, really want to be on the content developer team, but you can't promise that you'll be in here every single week, there is still the option to present online. So like, let's say you really want to join the content developer team, but you're not sure about how the year's coming up, but you're really, really interested, and you know that sometimes you'll be able to come out. I don't want that to be like a barrier to entry for you. You can still join even if you're only able to come online. So if content development is where you want to start in ISSessions, you're totally able to do so, and we're trying to make it as easy as possible to join. Just in case, like, you have a fear of presenting in front of people, which you should use this as an opportunity to get over that fear, because it's not that bad. And it is a very, very good skill to practice as well. So, Joel.
As a producer, I find the encouraging to do it in person to make my job. But it isn't really that much extra work if you have it set up.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, just as like a side note, like I mentioned, many of the roles in ISSessions are like, people-facing roles. Whether or not it's like at these bi-weekly meetings, some of the new roles and positions require you to actually reach out to people in industry to try to bring them in to do presentations weekly, or to reach out to people at specific businesses in order to try to secure sponsorships for the actual CTF. So beyond your presentation skills and talking and stuff like that, if you wanted to work on your business skills and your communication skills for people that you might be working with one day, this is a really good opportunity to join a team where people have the expectation already that we are students, we're trying our best, and they're not going to be too hard on you if you fumble a presentation, asking for sponsorship, which I did many times this year. But this is just a really good opportunity for you to develop yourself, right? So whether it's content development or any of the roles I've mentioned so far, just start thinking about like how you're going to develop yourself once you actually get to your co-op and your job. Because a lot of the skills that you learn in these roles are directly translatable to a lot of the things that you'll be doing day to day. Okay. So next, CTF coordinator. This is a huge role. Okay, I would say CTF coordinator is probably like one of the, I don't know if I'd say most stressful. I don't want to like not sell it to you guys, but there's a lot involved in being the CTF coordinator. You are primarily responsible for securing the sponsorships for the CTF. Just for context, like we raise around like $6,000 to $10,000 every single year. So it is a lot of money that you are responsible for actually bringing into the club. You're organizing all the logistics of the CTF, as well as ensuring that the event is booked, organized, that we have all of the funding needed in order to actually do the event, promote the CTF, be present at the CTF, make sure that everything is working on the day. I don't know if you guys saw Yasser running around like a maniac at the CTF, but a lot of the stuff that he was doing had to be done on the fly. So it's somebody that is a quick thinker, that can deal with challenges very quickly, and does not get overwhelmed as well. If you get overwhelmed easy, you might not want to do this, but I don't want to discourage people from doing this, because nobody on this team will ever put you down for struggling to do something. We're all here to support each other. Many times I needed help from people on the team, and many times people on the team needed help. We all come together to help each other. So it's this, regardless if you feel like this role might be too daunting, but you're very interested in it, again, apply. I believe we allow you to apply to 3 roles, right? Your top, middle, and then like, if everything else fails, you can still do this. But keep your eyes open. This is a great role to show employers your leadership skills, your ability to coordinate, to fund, to promote, to communicate. There's a lot that's involved in being a CTF coordinator. It is not the most technical role, I guess. Like if you're worried about like doing technical things, it is more of like a people role and planning role. But it's definitely a really good position to consider if you're planning on joining the team. Joel, you had a...
Just to clarify that as coordinators, there's still a whole CTF team below you, and he's talking about Yasser running around putting out fires at the CTF, but he wasn't the only one. He had a team below him, so there were other people that could help with it. So you mentioned the other team leaders, like presidents, some of that, but there's also a whole CTF team below this coordinator that he will get.
Exactly. Okay, so CTF infrastructure development. This is another critical position on the team. So for a CTF infrastructure developer, your primary responsibility is making sure that everything involving the actual deployment and maintenance of the CTF is working, updated, makes sense for the year, deployed, tested, bug tested, triple checked, quadruple checked. It's essentially the website that you guys use to actually do the CTF. There's a whole bunch of things that are involved in making sure that works, and it is a fairly technical role. However, if you are interested in an infrastructure development kind of role, and you can see the potential for how this can benefit you for the future in terms of impressing employers and saying, hey, I was literally responsible for the entire infrastructure and development for a huge CTF that's been hosted for the last 11 years with over 200 participants, with thousands of dollars in prizes. You can see how being in charge of a role like this can have a lot of benefits for you in the future, especially for your co-op positions and things that are going to be coming up. Not only is the club very well known amongst many of the places that you'll be applying to, but being in a position like this will automatically put that idea into an employer. Right, you've gone through something that is very difficult to set up, deploy, maintain, and make sure it works. You've pretty much, sealed 50% of the deal right off the bat. You just have to convince them you're not a murderer at that point. So this is a really cool role. Again, it is a technical role. So for those who are more technically inclined, I'd say if you have a little bit of a tough time with people skills or presenting and stuff like that, you don't have to do a lot of that for CTF infrastructure developer. This is more, again, a technical role. Okay, that's the same thing. I think I missed CTF challenge developer. That's probably what it is. So I will just tell you guys what that is before I go into president, which is pretty self-explanatory. CTF challenge developer is the actual people that will be creating the challenges for the CTF. So this is probably one of the most fun positions on the team, especially if you are, kind of technical, considering being in a technical position, or do have a lot of smarts around CTF challenges and building, or if you just want to learn how to do it for the first time. We've had many people on the club that have had no idea how to build a CTF challenge before, build a very good CTF challenge for the actual event. So don't think, hey, I don't know how to make a CTF challenge. Some of them, you don't even have to know how to use a computer in order to build a challenge, right? There's lots of ways that you can get involved in CTF challenge development, even if you aren't the most technically inclined person. And in this day and age, it's very, very, very easy to learn how to actually make a challenge for the CTF. The bottleneck is really just your creativity. What do you want to do, and how do you learn how to do that? Again, a lot of the people on the CTF development team, a huge reason that they were able to secure their co-ops is because of their involvement on this team, specifically in those roles for the positions that they applied for. Being able to say, hey, I created 30 challenges or 20 challenges for, again, a huge CTF that's hosted across the country with 200 plus participants at ISSessions. That sounds very good, and it shows that you are involved in something that many, 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 many of your peers are not. Just the fact that you guys show up here is more than, most. I'd say more than 90% of people. Think about how many people are in this program and how many people come to these meetings. This is a lot of people, but in comparison, it's you're 1%, right? So take advantage of, roles like this. Take advantage of the creativity that you have. And if you're worried about, hey, I don't know how to build a CTF, which was one of my concerns when I was considering what I wanted to apply for, don't let that be a wall for you. Just try your best. And again, we have a whole team here to support you throughout the entire year.
Let's say that I know the challenge level for the show, and I know the previous years, for example, he didn't know anything about infrastructure at all, zero. And then he became the infrastructure dev at the end of the 2023 CTF, and they learned quite well. So don't, even if you have no prior CTF kind of knowledge, if you have the drive or the creativity to make whatever you want, but that's pretty much all you learn on your own.
Yeah, exactly. So, president, there's no role for applied for vice president because as much as I like to think that there is a huge difference in capacity between the president and the vice president, they are very similar roles in the sense of a club. You can consider what me and Nate did, kind of being co-presidents together. Not to diminish anything that he did, there are some extra responsibilities that the president has to do, like attending all of the meetings for the SSU. You are responsible to be there. You're responsible to be involved with any of the SSU communications. You are basically in charge of making sure that all aspects of the club are working. However, these two roles, vice president and president, are huge roles to show employers how dedicated you are to cybersecurity. I can say personally that I actually think the reason that I got my co-op is because of ISSessions. The place that I'm working at, I approached them for sponsorship prior to applying. I had meetings with them to secure sponsorship for the CTF. And because I already met some of the people on the actual team, I sent an email as opposed to applying and say, hey, I know you guys are looking for co-op students. I was wondering if I could apply. And like that, the door opened for me because I already had the foot in the door. And if I didn't have the experience of, being in a role that led me to talk to sponsors and stuff like that, I might not have gotten the co-op that I did. So I can say just from personal experience, that has been a huge, 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 huge thing for me. And all the responsibility that came with it was 100% worth it. I got to run an amazing team. I got to meet amazing people. We hosted probably one of the best CTF challenges that has ever been done in this club. Our sponsors loved it. They're asking when we can do it again. Many people who came to the CTF got a job with either some sponsors or shortly after. Tons of people got interviews, which is a great way to actually prepare yourself for what's coming up and what to expect. You should never take a rejection from an interview as a negative. You should always take it as a learning experience because now you know what to expect going forward, right? But yeah, the president and the vice president roles, they are huge roles. It comes with a ton of responsibility. You have to be a good communicator. You have to be on time. You have to remember to bring the webcam every single week, which I forget to do every single time. But yeah, this is a big role, and if you are interested, please apply. When I was first year, I applied for president, just because I said, you know what, I'm going to show that I really want to do this. And I didn't get picked for president. I got picked for event manager at the time. But that's still a big role. That's what Jabril does right now in terms of getting the meetings ready every single week. And that basically led me to become the vice president. So don't be discouraged from applying from vice president and president. Even if you're first year, second year, it doesn't matter. Me and Nate technically were in second year when we became vice president and president of the club. So don't let anything discourage you about these roles. If you have the drive and you want to show us the commitment in an interview, which we do interview for all these roles, you have to just, apply and let us know. Okay. Oh, there it is. CTF Challenge Developer. Yeah. So again, these are the people that are responsible for making the actual challenges for the event. You are also like in a support role for the actual CTF event as well. It's your responsibility to actually make sure that everything is working during the event. Okay, and then the last lead role, I believe. So we have a CTF Challenge Development Lead. So this is different from the CTF Coordinator, who is more of like administrative, people, booking meetings, meeting with sponsors, securing sponsorship, making sure the event is working. The CTF Challenge Development Lead is like the manager for the CTF Challenge Development, okay? So you as a CTF Challenge Development Lead, you would be overseeing the entire development of all of the challenges for the entire event. You can also develop your own challenges, but you're essentially there to make sure that everybody stays on track. If the theme is SpongeBob underwater CTF, right? And you want everybody to make challenges related to SpongeBob underwater CTF, if somebody starts making Batman CTF challenges, you have to steer them in the right direction, okay? So from, like non-funny like thing to we're back on track, but that is essentially what you're doing. You're steering the direction of the challenge development into a consistent way, and you're also making sure that people are hitting deadlines. So you have 1 year to actually develop all the challenges for the CTF. A little less than that, actually. You have like 9 months, 9 months. And that may seem like a long time. It is literally 5 minutes in terms of like all of the responsibilities that you already have being in school or being at work. You also have to dedicate some of your time to challenge development. But it is a very, very, very rewarding thing to do. And again, being in a lead role will show employers that you have the ability to be a team leader, to manage, and shows that you have the drive to do something that many, many people do not want to do or can't to do. And again, even if you've never been in a leadership role, even if you've never, been a manager at work or, run a club or something like that, it doesn't mean that you can't be a lead or an event manager or president or prime minister. I guess I'll make this close enough. We should change it to prime. Yeah, we should. But just because these roles are lead roles doesn't mean if you don't have any lead experience, you can't be in. You know what I mean? This again all comes down to how you sell yourself in the interview. Are you showing up to ISSessions? Did you come to the CTF? Have you been a part of the team? Have I seen your face? That's a really big one for applying. And many of you here come all the time. So if you do apply, you already have a huge foot in the door in terms of the considerations that we take in your interview. You could call it preferential treatment, but your initiative to actually come here, if I had to pick between somebody that's never come and somebody that shows up all the time, it's a no-brainer. Okay, so just take that into consideration when you're applying to these roles. Okay, event manager. So that is what Jabril does. The event manager is going to be changing a little bit because I have another announcement that I'm going to be making, I believe, after this slide. But we are opening up 5 new roles. So event manager is going to change in the sense of its responsibilities. So what the event manager role is going to be now, as opposed to what it says up here, which is organizing the content for the team and doing the weekly meetings and making sure that the content development team is submitting the articles and stuff like that. The event manager will be responsible for outreach to potential speakers and for events that are related to our bi-weekly meetings. So your role would basically be more of a communication role, and having a good social media outreach would definitely be a very, very good thing to have. If you have 500 plus on LinkedIn, or if you know a lot of people in the cybersecurity world, this would be a good role for you because you're essentially going to be reaching out to people in industry to coordinate events for our bi-weekly meetings and to bring speakers in to do presentations. So it will be shifting some of the bi-weekly meeting portion to a different role, which I'll talk about shortly. But it is still a huge role in terms of making sure that every single week we have exciting and new stuff for the club. And with any of the roles, I will be posting more information on the actual application page as to what you're going to be doing. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Okay, so these are our new roles. I will talk about them briefly. There is more info on the actual application page, but they are the CTF Sponsorship Coordinator, Content Team Manager, Finance Minister, Online Content Developer, and Event Coordinator. Okay, so why did we decide to create these new roles? So being in the vice president position and working with Nate, our president, we hit a lot of roadblocks throughout the entire year of working in ISSessions. There was a lot of times where we were literally stretching ourselves across like 5 meetings a day with sponsorships, 2 meetings to book a venue, 1 meeting to make sure everything was working, ensuring that the club was running on the bi-weekly meetings and overseeing everything was a huge task. And that burden was shared by many people on the team. And when I was looking at the areas that needed like gaps to be filled in, we came up with the idea of these 5 roles, which I'll explain to you now. So we'll start off with the CTF Sponsorship Coordinator. So we have the CTF Coordinator. That role is not going away, but I want to have 2 people that are dedicated to helping the CTF Coordinator secure sponsorship for the entire year. Your role would essentially be to do continuous outreach to businesses and people that are interested in sponsoring the event so that we have as much money as possible by the end of the year for the CTF. So this, I think, is one of the areas that we struggled a lot, was just having people that were dedicated just to securing sponsorship. And I know this might seem like just like a small thing to do, but our list of people to contact is over 300, right? So you can think if you did one person every single day for the entire year, you actually wouldn't have enough time. And that comes with sending emails, following up with people, being organized. I need people that are going to be very organized. But your role is going to be so important in how successful the CTF is, what kind of funds that we have for the club, and what kind of extracurricular activities that we can do for the entire year. So I'll probably be looking for 2 people for the CTF sponsorship coordinator to assist the CTF coordinator. So content team manager. So content team manager is going to be what the event manager, or part of what the event manager's responsibility was before. So what I'm doing is I'm splitting the event manager and the content team manager into 2 parts. The content team manager will be responsible for news in the sense of organizing the news, making sure the content development team has their articles, their sensitive or violent articles that they're presenting, but essentially you will be responsible for this presentation, how it's set up, how it's designed. Every single year we make a new
forgot my
presentation.
tea.
This is the one that I made this year. But you essentially will be able to do whatever you want. If you wanted to make it sunshine and rainbows, that's totally up to you.
I'm in my club right now. My club meeting for school.
Doing this, making
I
sure
know.
that
I'm gonna keep it on. For me to get considered a club member, I have to log every time I join. So.
This will kind of just be
All right,
all
I'll be back.
you, and you'll be managing a team with content development. So this is again another management role that we're creating. Finance minister. This is a more niche role, but this comes with managing all of the money and contracts that we get from our sponsorships with the CTF. Behind the scenes, there is a lot of paperwork that actually goes into managing the money that's coming in for the sponsorships, with all of the requirements and legal requirements and SSU red tape that they put everywhere. So I'm not disparaging the SSU. There was just a lot of things that we had to do, but this is a position, you know, that you are going to be handling thousands of dollars, contracts, signing, following up with businesses, people in industry. It is actually a very important role. It won't be the most involved role on the day-to-day, but with any position on this entire roster, you are allowed to do anything that you want, as long as you just act. If you were the finance minister and you wanted to do CTF development, there's nothing stopping you from making a challenge for the CTF. If you were the CTF sponsorship coordinator and you wanted to present the news one day, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. So don't feel like you're locked into a specific role. All of them are flexible, but the finance minister's role will be not the most involved. But again, if you do want to get involved in the club officially, this is a great way to go in there. Yeah, awesome. So online content developer, this is a new role. This is something that I wanted to do this year, but again, just so many things going on, especially in the later half of the year. This wasn't something that I was able to actually implement or something that we were able actually to do. But I essentially want one person that would be responsible for making content, whether it's be short form or long form content from these bi-weekly meetings. They're creating shorts on Instagram, Reels, on YouTube, on TikTok and stuff like that, from just some of the news articles or speakers or presenters that we have. But essentially what you would be doing is just taking the content that we already produce, making it into little smaller bits of short form or long form content, creating intros, adding music, stuff like that. Essentially for this, I'm just looking for somebody that has like a strong social media presence or has some kind of proof that they are capable of, you know, managing a social media page in terms of the content side of it. And just trying to get us out there, get us more known, and potentially bring in more sponsorships than we already have. If we get lucky and we blow up on social media and a big company sees us, maybe instead of $2,000 sponsorship, somebody will give us a $10,000 sponsorship. So your role could be really pivotal in the ability for us to do the things that we do weekly. And then lastly, we have the event coordinator. So event coordinators essentially are just going to work with the event manager, which is the role that we're splitting up. You're just going to be an assistive role to help out the event manager secure people for giving presentations, securing events for us to do at the club level. It's more of just like giving a little bit more breathing room to some of the roles, as well as giving more people opportunities to join the club. One person to try to do this every 2 weeks to try to get people to actually come in and do presentations can be a lot. If we had 3 people working on that same initiative, it would be a lot easier. We'd be able to get more people to present. So yeah, these are going to be our new roles. Right now, I think minus some people that were dropped from the team, I think we are a 19-person team. I'm looking this year to bring it up to 30. That doesn't mean that there's only 11 positions available. I don't know if every single person on the team is staying in their role, not staying in the role, staying on the team, or not staying on the team. So apply for everything. But these are essentially the new roles that we have, plus all the old ones. And then the link in the corner there, which I will post in stream questions, will be the actual application form. So in terms of timelines, so how we're doing this, I will post the link today, probably right after this presentation, and I'll keep it open for 2 weeks. You can apply for 2 weeks. If you know anybody that was thinking about applying, if you want to apply yourself, I will have it open for 2 weeks. Yes, especially I was bullied into applying. So yes, it worked out pretty good. But
ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Joshua Street Arena.
I'll have it open for 2 weeks. When 2 weeks ends, we'll reach out to you within like a couple of days to book your interview. You'll have an interview for the position. Nothing that you guys need to study for. It's not like rocket surgery that we're doing. I just want to make sure that you have the passion to do what you say that you want to do. You tell me why you think you'd be a good fit for that. We'll throw a couple curveballs at you just to be mean and stuff. And then you'll get picked for the team. So all in all, it should be a very quick process, about 3 weeks. Ideally, I would love to get it done like by first week of April. Just so that it's not occupying any mental capacity for the exams coming up. Those are giving me number 82. So yeah, that is basically it, guys. Number 14, Warcom. Number 20, Angela. Number 77, I'll post that as well. So yeah, that's it, guys. Number 31, oh yes, before I pass it over to John, sorry. Does anybody have any questions at all? I mean it like.
What is this for?
Please ask. Because I had a million questions and I was very fast and I was dumb for that, but. Apply for whatever you want. You don't have to have the skills because you can learn. If you genuinely, if I see your name in the application for president, and you do in your interview, and you tell me why you want to be president and why you've done X, Y, and Z things in order to prepare yourself for this, and you're really ambitious and you say all the right things, there's no reason that I wouldn't consider you for president. Same goes with any of the other roles, CTF development, CTF development lead, community manager. It doesn't matter what you want to apply for. If you have the initiative, the drive, and you come to the interview and you try your best, there's no reason that I won't deny you for that. Okay? Yes. And yeah, it does not matter what year you're in, guys. First year, second year, third year, fourth, it does not matter. Honestly, I wouldn't even. I don't think it should matter. Yeah. Even if you're not in cybersecurity, I will take your application because you're here and you have a passion for it. Commit. It depends on the role. It really depends on the role. I could say when I was the event manager, so what Jabril is doing right now, maybe like 2 hours a week. Maybe. And like I'm talking like that's I was going way overboard. I was coming up with these insane presentations and stuff like that. Obviously, I encouraged the same level of commitment that I had. But yeah, at maximum, like 2 hours, maybe like 1 hour a week for most roles. Producer is going to be similar. For like roles like yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, and some roles like CTF coordinator, obviously that's going to be dependent on how much time you want to put into it, right? Because, or not coordinator, CTF challenge developer. Like if you want to devote 5 hours a week to creating CTF challenge, that's totally up to you, right? Like that's awesome if you have that much time. I don't know where you're finding it, but that needs some. But it's totally dependent on you. For the content developers every week for the news, it can be as little as 5 minutes. You find an article, you get some good points on it, and then you talk about it during the actual presentation. Now, again, for any of the roles, I encourage you to go above and beyond, right? Like the last thing that I would want you to do for the content developer role is to 5 minutes before the presentation, Google something, put it in the chat, take 5 bullet points, come up here, and then talk about it. At the very least, do something that you care about, that you're passionate about, because that passion is people can feel that. Like if you're just regurgitating what ChatGPT said, everybody knows. Right? Whereas if you're genuinely interested in what you're talking about, it really does show, and it helps you in your presentation, right? If you know what you're talking about, if you like what you're talking about, obviously you're gonna have more fun doing it, right? So it depends. But unless you're like president or vice president, I don't think it's more than like a couple hours every week. Yeah, and exactly right. With these new roles, a lot of the functions of some of the leadership positions, as well as the like creation of things and outreach of things, will be distributed. So it'll be less, but not to do less work, but just to make sure that the work that we're doing is better for each role. Right? Anybody else have any questions? You first? Yeah. Yeah. It's a good. I can if you want to add in anything, but that's a good question. So it's really gonna. I mean, there's a core of what you need to do. You need to have some kind of structure for the development for the entire year. So at the beginning of the year, you'd ideally want to come up with some kind of plan. And that plan is going to be like direction, design, like what is the actual event going to look like, what's the theme. But more so than that, you have to have meetings with your team. Right? You're going to be managing a team of probably around 10 people this year as the CTF challenge developer. And you have to make sure that each one of those people has goals, and you have to have points at which you're going to check in with them throughout the year. So ideally, every month you would have a check-in, every 2 weeks you'd have a check-in, every 4 months you'd have a larger check-in to be like, okay, we have done 10 challenges, these ones are 80% complete, this one hasn't even been started, this guy over here hasn't even logged into the Google Forms updated in like 6 months. Like, you have to, you're essentially going to be someone's manager, right? And staying on top of people is going to be very important, because if you're not, you can't. I mean, I'd hope that the people that are on the CTF development team would stay responsible for their own commitments, but everybody kind of needs somebody to guide them. And if you feel that you are going to be good at something like that, then absolutely apply for the CTF lead, right? It's completely in your hands how you want to manage it. If you decide that you want to do one check-in every single year, and then it comes to the CTF and it's not very good, don't you only have one person to blame, right? Like at the end of the day, like the president and the vice president will likely step in at that point, but avoid that. We've never had a problem, we've never had an issue. People know what they're signing up for, but people that really excel in a leadership role can take the CTF development team to the next level, right? So if you feel like that's something that you could excel at, don't be afraid to apply. Yeah.
When you like households, or I guess if I was the A and S and AP down,
Literally, if I'll give you a tip. If you want to have like bonus points for the interview, have 5 challenges ready for the interview. So I already got 5 done. Right? Like that's a great way to say.
Like you can use these in the CTF.
Yeah. These are.
before the end of
Slip me a 5.
pretty much before the end of the year, we had already come up with a general theme and a big meeting, with more than just content, like the president, vice president. I think it was the races.
It was the whole everyone. It was everybody.
And then from there, we pretty much went into, we had optional bi-weekly with meetings pretty much all summer, but once a month, as many people as possible got in. Just have we done any challenge development? Where are we at? In a spreadsheet running the whole time, Google Forms, and just constant check-ins. And if you were making meetings, they would just reach out, hey, how you doing? Any changes? But yeah, it's a constant thing, but it's more just keeping an eye and make sure people are there. It's not like you're going to sit there and 5 hours every week you're contacting every single person, trying to make sure they're doing their job.
Yeah. You had a question, my friend? 19. I would like the team to be 30. So it can be flexible depending on like what I feel or how many people apply. So last year we actually had to cut a bunch of people that applied because like we had too many applications. So like part of creating more positions is my hope that we'll continue to get a lot of people applying, but that I don't have to cut people, because that really did suck when I had to make a decision between 2 people for a role. It's not the most fun thing, especially because I see you guys every single day. So not the greatest feeling in the world, but it does happen. So yeah, we're looking to have 30. Again, I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that might want to stay on the team. So depending on the position, I may or may not, or we may consider like, those circumstances, but there are still a ton of roles that are going to be coming available. At the very least, there will be 11 roles, minimum, right? More than likely, it'll probably be like 20 positions that'll open, depending on who stays or who goes, or how many people we actually need on the team once we see how many applications have come in. So it will depend, but yeah, minimum 11, realistically probably like 20. So definitely apply regardless, okay? Yeah. Which? Like anybody that wants to, yeah, I mean, that's just a given, right? But we can talk about that another time. Any other questions, guys? Any at all? Don't be scared to ask a question. Yes.
So, how does the team hookups and meal food for? Because from what I'm hearing, it's like you guys meet every 2 weeks. You're gonna like a CTF team.
Yeah.
Or they meet virtually every 2 weeks, discuss what they're doing, and drop the little summary.
Yeah. So again, it really depends on the direction that the CTF challenge developer wants to take in terms of how you guys meet. But realistically, yes, every 2 weeks, or how we did it, is every 2 weeks on a Sunday, we would have a CTF challenge developer meeting. Everybody who's available would get into a meeting, discuss, what they're working on, what their plans are, where they're at in terms of the development, and just to make sure that everybody is updating everybody on what we're doing. Right, so as Joel mentioned, we had a big Excel spreadsheet that was running through the entire year where people would update their progress on a specific challenge, where people would put the information about their challenges as well, so that 2 people weren't making the exact same challenge inadvertently. But it depends, right? I would say, like in a perfect world, every 2 weeks you'd have a meeting with the CTF team for like 30 minutes to an hour. You guys meet online again. I think that was one of your questions. You have the option. If you guys all want to come and meet at school, like if a bunch of your friends are on the CTF challenge development team, like they were like this year primarily, they all knew each other. You can just meet in person, or you can just hop in a Discord call and talk to each other, right? And you don't have to only communicate during the check-ins. Like if you know people, if you have them on Discord and you just want to like work on something, then just message them, right? So it's open. Like there has to be structure, but have fun with it at the same time, right? It doesn't have to be another job if you already have a job, right? Anybody else have any other questions? No? All good? Sure? I will charge for questions after this. So, plenty. All right, guys. Perfect. Awesome. So thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate your attention. I'm going to pass it off to John just for a quick announcement. And then you guys will be good to go. But thank you so much.
So I was gonna do like a mini presentation, but I didn't have anything prepared. So I don't know if you guys remember people who attended online session last or 2 weeks ago, or the in-person one. I did a small mention about the Bear Hacks hackathon. I don't have anything prepared for that, but I wanted to open the panel to questions. If anybody has any questions for people who have applied or haven't applied, or anything about in-person or online. And if you have no questions, that's fine. I just wanted to ask in case people had questions. Yeah. What is it? So have you heard of a hackathon before? Okay, so it's not at all to do with hacking, for starters. Basically, it is the old term for hacking before hacking was a thing for computers. It's hacking stuff together instead of hacking stuff apart. So you can make a fully software program, you can make software and hardware, and it's usually tied into a specific theme. For this one, we're trying to focus on AI, and we're actually trying to get some blockchain stuff in there as well, but it's mostly AI right now. So use of Perplexity, use of TensorFlow with Google sponsorship, or Perplexity sponsorship, and a bunch of other just AI-centered software that we're giving out to the attendees for just coming to attend. That's basically what it is. You're just making something. Instead of breaking something, you're making something. And it's usually a team of 4, but you can work by yourself. You can work with 2 people. If you don't have a team, you can either find a team beforehand, or you can go to the event and make a team there. We'll have team building on site, and we'll also have team building in the channel. So if you guys don't know anybody, you can meet new people there from your program, different programs. I think there's going to be a good amount of cyber students, because I did talk about it a lot, and some people are really interested. But it also is for the CS Club and the Sydney developer, or the Sydney program, and basically anything FAST, the Faculty of Applied Science and Technology, which is the faculty that we're in. Yeah, that's pretty much what a hackathon is. And another question? Sorry. No, you go first. Yeah. Yeah. So for that, we're not 100% sure. We wanted to implement some type of waitlist system like we did for the CTF at the ISSessions, but we're still trying to figure that out. I would venture to say that if you could only make one day, they will most likely let you go online for the second day. They're not going to say screw you or whatever. But for the Sunday one, that's mostly just the judging day, right? So if you can't make it for the Sunday and you have to attend online, it's not an issue, because I think some judges are in person, some judges are online, so they won't be able to make it anyway. So we're going to have some form within the Discord, so it shouldn't be an issue. But if you have a specific problem, you can just are you in the Discord server? Yeah, you can open a support ticket and somebody will get to your question for sure. Adam, and then you, if that's cool. Time. So Friday, I believe it starts at 4 p.m. and ends at 11, I believe. Saturday, I think it's swapped, so then it's I think it's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Is that correct? Yeah. And then Sunday, I think, is even less time. It's in the afternoon, I believe. But the Friday starts after classes for sure, and it's at HMC. 4, I think, is opening ceremony. 5 might be opening ceremony. I'm not 100% sure about that. But yeah, and then you had another question as well? Yeah, so it'll be obviously it's not here right now, but it'll be a big, general theme, and it's going to be quite broad. It'll be a big open-ended question, but focused on a specific topic, so like AI or something like that, and you just build whatever your heart desires. As long as you there's Perplexity track, there's TensorFlow track, and then there's just the normal leaderboard. So you could not even use Perplexity and TensorFlow and still win first, second, or third place. But if you want to focus on these other tracks, you can, and still win prizes, not being on the leaderboard like that. So Any other questions? Yeah. So that's the prize trap type stuff. It's not going to be a. I'm not 100% sure of the judging system. I'm not sure like how we're doing the points at all like that. But I know for sure if you use like the specific services that we're looking for, probably judges will like it more. For the TensorFlow track, I'm not 100% sure who we have judging it, but I will be judging the Perplexity track and also running the Perplexity workshop on Friday. So yeah, I'll be helping you guys out with anything like that. You guys can use some secret cheat codes that I tell you how to get Perplexity to behave properly. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm just joking around. Yeah. Yes, correct. Yes. Yes. It can be about solving. Maybe maybe you have a personal issue with something that you think could be developed in a different way. That's the solution you're solving in that case. So maybe you want to make a program that, like I know for Hackville, one of our organizers actually won the first place, I think, with that, and they made this thing called Bear Tracks, which is like an interactive 3D map for all Sheridan campuses, HMC, Boone Davis, and Trafalgar, and it is a quite cool piece of software. And that was their solution they had to solve. They didn't have a interactive or a nice map at all for Sheridan. You had to use the old like Sheridan like emergency alert app, and it's like static app, and it's terrible. I don't know if you guys have ever opened that app before, but it's not a good app. So that's the solution that they were kind of solving in that aspect. But yeah, it's more just kind of making something. And again, yeah, another one. No, 100% you can bring other skills. So you'll also probably encounter like UX and UI students as well. So people can focus on the front end, you can focus on the back end, you can focus on the docs, you can focus on the presentation. This is why having multiple team members is helpful, because you don't want to have it all rely on you. I mean, you can. It's nothing stopping you, but it's helpful to spread out the issues. If that answers your question, perfect. Okay, another question? Yes, I don't have the criteria right now, but I'm sure we'll release it in the opening ceremony for sure. Probably both, and also if you're using like the stuff that we're looking for. I mean, obviously we're not looking for anything specific, but if you're looking to like win a certain track, then yeah, you should probably use that software from that track. And I'm not sure, I have to double check, but I think you can only win one prize track and then like the leaderboard, and I'm not 100% sure, maybe you could win multiple prize tracks. So you have the normal like standing, like 1, 2, 3, right? Or all the way down to like 50, but then you also have like a prize track standing for like Perplexity, and then another prize track standing for TensorFlow. So they're all separated, they're not connected. But I have to double check if you can win multiple tracks. I'm not sure about that. So, anybody else have any other questions? Okay, last thing I wanted to say was if you haven't applied yet, try to apply sooner rather than later, because we did send out the acceptance forms yesterday and we had a bunch of issues. So if you use your Sheridan email, the Sheridan IT service will hold the email for, well, they haven't released it yet, so they'll hold the email forever at this point. So if you do use your Sheridan email and you are waiting for an acceptance or something like that, or you get a wrong acceptance, just join the Discord and fill out a support ticket. Somebody will get to you pretty quick and we'll get you the RSVP. So that's pretty much it. And I know a bunch of people can't make it tonight, but in general, I did book a session at Monaghan's if people are interested. So I'll be there. Feel free to come out and we'll have a good time, eat some food, talk about cyber, whatever it is, But everything else, that's it. Thanks for coming to this session. So we're done. And I guess we'll have our next session in 2 weeks from now. April 2nd. There you go. Write that down. Don't miss it. Thanks, guys.